Okay, welcome to Black Men Speak. I'm your co-host J.R. Stewart.
And good evening, everyone. I'm your co-host, Tommy Dunn.
So tonight we have another fascinating show for you. We have a really big heavyweight. Now, I don't mean size-wise. I mean in stature and prominence. We have Maya Angelou. I don't know if they get any
Yep.
bigger than that when you come to writers and poets. At least in
Yep.
modern time.
Absolutely, Jimmy. Maya Angelou, one of the most powerful voices of the 20th and the 21st century, and an inspiration behind an entire generation of women in America.
Yes. So before we get started, one, we want to thank Liquid for providing our theme music, and please support our channel and our effort by subscribing, sharing, and hit that like button on the video so you can be notified when we upload new shows. We're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, Tom, let's jump in. We got that out of the way. So here's the thing, Tom. Of course, I mean everyone's have heard of her. There's probably nobody, regardless of color background, who hasn't heard at least the name. They may not know all of her works, but at least have heard the name. But I did not realize she had such a colorful life. Um,
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. Born kind of in the cusp, of the Harlem Renaissance. Even though she's not from New York, but during that period of time, born in 1928, but lived a very full, long,
full
lively, and
life.
accomplished life.
Some varied backgrounds. From calypso dancer and singing, working in nightclubs.
Author, activist, poet, actress, screenwriter.
So here's the thing that once again, Tom, that we come to the same conclusion every week. I'm always amazed how people have such determination to stick with their dreams. She could have easily given up on herself. I'm sure as a black woman trying to make it as a poet and a writer was not easy during that time. We're talking she was born in the 20s.
Yep,
So she's coming up
1928.
during the height of racism, the KKK and Jim Crow laws and separate but equal. So I'm sure it was not easy for her to finally reach a level of success that she reached, and she could have easily given up. And no one would have blamed her if she given up, because that is
Yeah,
not an easy sell for a black woman during that time.
yeah, you're right, Jimmy. She became an adult in the 40s and 50s, and as we all know, civil rights, voting rights, legislation didn't happen in America until the mid late 60s, and so obviously it wasn't easy for anyone who happens to be black in America. It's not easy for them today, but during that period of time, you're talking about Jim Crow at its height. We
Yes.
talk about just the second generation of slavery in America after slavery was so-called abolished with the Emancipation Proclamation. But she still, in spite of all of that, had a very, very prosperous career throughout her life.
Let me ask you this, Tom. Do you think she was a black male hater?
No, I think she was an inspiration, for an entire culture of people who were struggling for their freedom. I mean, one of the things, if you read her poems, considering where she grew up, considering when she grew up, her mother and father divorced somewhat at a young age, and she went to live with her grandmother
Right.
while she was very young, and she was the victim of rape by her mother's boyfriend after her father moved her back to live with her grandmother.
Mm.
Well, he moved her to live with the paternal grandmother, and then moved her back to spend time, her and her brother, with her mom. And the mother's boyfriend assaulted her. And on top of that, Jim, what makes it even worse is the guy, after being convicted, only spent 1 day in jail.
Wow.
Catch that. But 4 days, I believe it was 4 days after he was let out of jail, he was found dead.
You think she had anything to do with it, or they're just
Not that
coincidence?
she had anything to do with, but I'm pretty sure that you know there was back in the days there were black men who believed in protecting black women, and I can't say, and it was never really revealed what happened to this guy, but just 4 days after he got out of a 1-day jail sentence, he ended up dead. So
Tom,
all that being said, um, the other thing about that, Jimmy, is after this happened, and she was still very young. She was only 8 years old, okay, when she was assaulted. After this guy came up dead, she was so afraid, she literally felt that her words caused his death because she ended up telling on who it was. She didn't speak for 5 years after that, literally.
You know what, man? If it was my daughter, regardless of age, I would have done it.
Yep.
So for 1 day, you know, if justice was truly served, then I could probably go along with the justice system if I felt the person was adequately punished. Although there's no punishment, there's not enough punishment ever for a situation when you violate a woman that way. But for my daughter, yes, that person would have came up dead also. For 1 day in jail, oh yeah,
Yep.
you would have came up dead also. You know, you would have to run back to the jail asking voluntarily to go back in to protect yourself. So, well, let me ask you this: what do you think about The Color Purple? What was your? I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't like all of the characters, but I mean that's just the way it is with a diverse character set. But what did you think overall?
I thought it was a pretty deep movie. It was, you know, a pretty heavy movie overall. But you know, it is an illustration of a period of time in our history that was displayed on the big screen. But it was a well made movie. But obviously a lot of issues, a lot of storylines that you have to deal with.
Yes, well that is true. So let me ask you this, Tom. Do you think? I mean, there are some icons that come along and and it's not even imaginable that they could be replaced.
Correct.
You know, when you think about someone like a Jordan, for instance, in basketball, I don't think there'll ever be another Jordan in my lifetime. Or you know, someone like Michael Jackson, I don't think there'll ever be another artist entertainer.
So what you're saying is you don't think a LeBron can measure up
No,
to Michael?
no, not even close, man. Not to take away from LeBron greatness. He is a really, truly gifted athlete, basketball player, but he is nowhere near as skilled as Jordan was when Jordan was playing at his height. So will there be another Maya? Will another black poet come along and writer who will achieve that level of success during our lifetime?
I think, Jimmy, there are a lot of talented women,
There
a
are.
lot of talented artists, but when you consider what she overcame during that period of time in America and how multifaceted her life was, how multidimensional she was, you look at the people that she's connected with and been around. When you look, Jimmy, at just the power of her voice, and it's hard to imagine, Jimmy, because now we have social media. And so now you have folks who have a huge platform to influence people, to influence thought. But this was before social media. This, you have to remember, Jimmy, she was not an icon on television or the movies, even though she had some small roles in mass media. But this was before social media. Yet the power of her words, the power of her voice,
Right.
were unimaginable, were unparalleled. I think then and now, even in the day of social media. So it would be very hard to replace that. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I'm getting a message here from YouTube saying that we're having trouble connecting to the chat window. So
Okay.
the chat window may not be working, but the phone line should be up. The phone number is 972-497-2280 if you want to join in the conversation, or if you have questions for myself or Mr. TD.
All right, we'll have to get that fixed now, Jimmy.
Hey man, that's a YouTube thing. This is their platform. So it was working earlier. I tested it out. I'm not sure why it's not connecting. So, or why it disconnected. Maybe it took too long to start. Maybe we started doing our pre-testing too early. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, feel free to give us a call to join in the conversation. If you get put into the wait queue, just don't worry about it. Eventually, you will get through. So the chat line, phone line is open right now.
All right.
So Tom, have you read any of her autobiographies? I think you mentioned she had 7. I knew she had a few.
Yeah.
I didn't know she had 7.
She had a total of 7 autobiographies. Probably her first is the most famous. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which really talks about her early life. But yeah, she had 7 autobiographies, and even as powerful as her poetry was, I mean, who can, not have ever heard of Still I Rise?
Right.
Great writer, but, she's probably just as well known for her autobiographies as she was for her poetry.
Well, speaking of autobiographies, the book of the week, I selected her book, which has been added to the list there. So we need to make sure that we honor her and respect her volume of work. So, but I will see my list. I'm falling behind on my list of reads between your list, my list, and some other business stuff I need to stay on top of. I'm about 8 books behind now, so even at a book a week, I'm still struggling to dig out of this hole. So, but I will get it done and read her work. I do like her work. I have read some of her poems. I just hadn't gone through and read like any of her books from cover to cover. So, okay. Oh boy, sorry about that. People should know that between 9 and 10, do not text, call. In fact, I should know better. I should just turn the phone off. Okay. Well, so we don't think anyone will come along during our lifetime that will equal up to her level. What about inspiration for other young writers?
Well, I mean, she's had an inspiration on an entire generation of women, in my opinion, especially in the latter half of the 20th century. Through her writings, through her books, through her poetry. I mean, again, she, I think, is one of 2 people who were asked to provide, their brilliance, at a presidential inauguration.
Yeah.
She wrote a poem that was recited during Bill Clinton's, inauguration, and I believe Robert Frost was the only other person who did that. I believe that was for John Kennedy, so to speak. So I will put it this way: very, very, very big shoes to fill. Even though I'm sure the talent is out there, brilliant mind, brilliant memory, brilliant linguist, traveled all over the world. A couple of things that most people are unaware of. She worked with Dr. King.
She did.
She also worked with Malcolm X. She worked with Dr. King. She worked with Malcolm X right when he was about to form the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Unfortunately, he was assassinated in 1965, right when she was working with him to develop that. And then she worked with the SCLC for a period of time in the late 60s with Dr. King. And then he was assassinated, so to speak. So it just a lot going on, Jim, especially in the 60s and just in the middle of where she was reaching the peak of her career.
Well, we may need to inquire as to her whereabouts, man. Did she have an alibi when Malcolm and King died? Just joking, folks. Do not take me serious. Don't email me saying how cruel that was. It was just a joke. Probably not a good one. So let me see. I almost forgot my next question I was getting ready to ask. I know what I was going to ask. So Do you think? I know she was a black activist, so she
Right.
made
She
that
was an
quite.
activist.
Um, she spoke up for black women also. But do you think her early childhood trauma may have influenced some of her later work as to how
Oh,
she built her characters, her black men characters, um, and what she thought about black men overall?
well, I think to answer your question, yes. When you go through that type of trauma, there's no way that it cannot affect you. The good thing about it is that she had a very, very strong relationship with her father, and she also had a very good relationship with her brother as well. And so, even in spite of the fact that she went through trauma when she was very young, through the assault, through the death of, the person who victimized her, and all of the things that happened to us in a country, where we are put into a position of overt oppression. I think she was able to look beyond that, because one of the things that I noticed, not just in her writings, but also in her interviews, she had this power of hope, even in spite of the circumstances, even in spite of the tragedy. Even when she speaks to questions about, what would, a Dr. King, or, what would some of our heroes who left too early because of assassination or for other things, what would they say today? You know what? They would be proud of what we've accomplished, but they would be very disappointed that we haven't accomplished more. So she had what I think President Obama is known for saying, having the audacity of hope, even in spite of the circumstances.
Well, you know what, Tom? I can still hear her voice in my head, and she had a very distinct voice, very soft spoken. I don't think you would
But
ever
very,
confuse. You would ever
very
confuse,
strong voice at the same time.
and very
Very
strong.
strong.
So she was very deliberate in the words that she used. But I think that's what always captured my attention the most. That she was a person who could speak softly, speak strongly, and speak very powerful at the same time. She didn't have to raise her voice. She didn't have to shout. She didn't have to insult anyone to get her message across. And her voice was very soothing. And so I did not know she was a singer. I believe before the show we were
Yes.
talking, you were telling me. So I can now see that a person with that tone and that range, how that being a singer would lend, to her speaking style.
Yes. She was an artist of, many, many genres. She was an artist of many genres.
Okay. So the once again, folks, the phone line is open. See, every week, Tom, I get someone who will send me a message saying that they tried calling at at 10 o'clock when the show was over. Well, folks, if, once again, the phone line's open at 9:05 Central Standard Time, and I believe it stays open until about 9:30, 9:45, somewhere around there. So even if the show ends at 9:30, we'll still keep the phone line open till about 9:45 in case someone calls after the show with a comment. So the phone number once again is 972-497-2280. You can see the number in the mid to lower portion of the screen on the right side. So please call in if you have any questions. Next week, Tom, we're doing a special show next week. We are going to both put ourselves in a hot seat, and we're going to take questions from anyone who has a question about relationships. Not necessarily our relationships, but relationships in general. If you have a question about men or about women, and you want to speak to a couple of our relationship guru know-it-alls, that's Tommy and I, because we know just about everything between the two of us. So next week is the show.
Are you trying to say that's because we're old, Jimmy?
I'm trying to say that we are seasoned and aged like fine wine. That we have seen a few things. We've experienced a few things. So, growing up, I used to always have a profound respect for the for old men because I figure they've lived some life. They know a few
Yes.
things, and now I'm that old man who's lived life and have learned a few things along the way. So I feel obligated to pass those things on to the next generation. So,
Well, Jimmy, we definitely need to convey some insight. Things definitely aren't getting a little bit easier. We have a lot at stake, especially in our community.
well, the biggest thing, Tom, that we have to change the direction of is the fact that fewer and fewer black men and women are coming together to start families. So
Right.
that projection has to be reversed. We cannot continue to not come together, not form families, not raise our children in a household with a mother and father. And we have definitely something certainly went wrong during the '60s, but when up until 1959, where 90% of black kids were in a home with a mother and a father. They may not have been married, but at least they were there. To now,
Right.
75% of our kids are being born into homes where there's a single mother, and most of the time an
Well,
unwed teenage mother on top of that.
yeah, well, Jimmy, no, we'll talk about this some next week. But one of the things that started happening to our communities at that period of time is something called welfare. And then after a generation of that, then we have something called the war on crime, which was really the war on black men in America. But that's definitely going to be a next week topic, because when we start looking at what pulled our families apart, it's really a story of what pulled the black man out of the black family,
Tom,
in my opinion.
the war on poverty or the welfare program was the war on black men also. That was part A, and the war on crime was part B.
Yes.
They were both two faces of the same coin that I believe with the objective to destroy the black family and to get the black man out of the household. Well, they have succeeded on both of them, but we have to find a way to kind of repair it, fix it, and put it back together. Regardless who did it, we have to fix it. I don't mean like me,
When you say
you
we,
and I,
when you
we.
say we, what do you mean by
I mean the collective we. Black people need to come together and fix this. There's no reason we should have intelligent, attractive black women out there with no prospect of ever finding a good man to settle down with. And your choices should not be between a piece of shit man and a trash man. So, if those are the only two choices in life, some women may decide, well, I'll just stay single. So we need to fix this, Tom. We got to bring some awareness to it, and we all need to fix it. Stop pointing the finger at each other. Black men blaming black women blaming black men. We all share in the and have some culpability in this, and by coming together, we can fix this. And in fact, we need to go find a Maya poem to speak to this for next week's show.
Okay, done deal.
Yes. So we have about 5 minutes left. So is there anything you want to cover? Either something we left out about our person of interest this week, or what's going on currently? We do have elections coming up, and racial politics is at its height now. So
Yes.
I don't think I think the Shav or shop or whatever they were calling up in Seattle has been shut down. I don't know if there's plans to reopen it or if people are trying to start another one, but I'll give you the stage, so have at it.
Well, I think that first, I want to thank everybody who's joined us this evening to celebrate and to acknowledge one of the most powerful voices, I personally believe, in American history. I mean, when you think of someone like a Maya Angelou, you put them in a very, very small category of influencers who also happen to be writers, who also happen to be activists, and I mean in the same vein as someone
Right.
like a Phyllis Wheaton or someone of that nature. So, that person in the name of Maya Angelou, God rest her soul, 2014, I believe is an American treasure. We must salute her. We must stand on the top of very strong shoulders for women and men too. But in this case, a woman like a Maya Angelou And for women out there who are looking for inspiration, especially during hard times, we look to people like this who have been a bedrock of strength in our countries and in our communities in particular. And so I think that God only, makes someone like this ever so often, and they, in my opinion, pretty much break the mold.
Yes, I would agree with you there, Tom. So, ditto to that, and I too want to thank everyone who tunes in or who watch the show from the library or the archives. Please help spread the word. If you are interested in joining the discussion next week, feel free to give us a call, and we will certainly put you through, and you can ask your questions, and Tom and I will give you the benefit of our knowledge, experience, and wisdom.
All right, Jimmy.
So
I think that kind of wraps it up for this.
That kind of wraps it up. So great show. We will see you guys next week. We're here every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you. See you next week.
See you later, folks.